In the past, people try to become environmentally friendly by being carbon neutral. And I don't believe in carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality is basically using dirty sources of power and then buying a certificate and offsetting your dirty source of power by buying this certificate.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show today. I'm super excited. I'm here with Samir, which is CEO for Bit Digital, and we're going to talk about mining. But before we dive into it, Samir, how are you doing today?
Doing really well. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Do you mind to share your journey in crypto? How did you start it?
Sure. I started actually my career as a lawyer in New York. I did that for a few years, and then I joined the financial industry as head of capital introductions to Bank of America Merrill Lynch. And basically, being a lawyer and a financier for over a decade, I realized that I was basically just really working for the man. And around the time where my career in finance was ending, the Satoshi white paper came out, and I thought it was super interesting. And then a few years later, Ethereum came out, and that was interesting also. I ended up founding an Ethereum company called Fluidity. We created something called AirSwap, a decentralized exchange, and we sold that company to Consensus. And then I moved on to becoming CEO of Bit Digital, which is a very large industrialized Bitcoin miner. And we have operations in various countries in the United States, Canada, and Iceland. We have about 45,000 machines in our fleet across all these jurisdictions. And we really tried our best to mine responsibly. We can get into what that means in a moment. But in short, what that means is that we use carbon-free sources of power. So we use volcanic, we use hydro, and that's very important. We're not carbon neutral, we're carbon free, which is much better. And we also have an AI business. We have about 256 AI servers, NVIDIA H100 GPUs, which are very difficult to get. And we were able to create a fleet of our AI business in Iceland.
Absolutely amazing. And thank you for giving us this beautiful intro. I mean, you mentioned US, Canada, and Iceland. I mean, do you mind explaining us why you've chosen those three locations?
In Iceland, it's 100% renewable sources of power. It's a small country of 300,000 people, but frankly, the abundance of power in Iceland, you can power basically many different countries. It has that much abundant power. And it's because there are lots of volcanoes and a lot of water. And through harnessing the power of volcanoes, particularly the steam that comes out of the ground and hydro, with respect to rivers, which is plentiful in Iceland, you could harness clean power. And that's important because in the past, people try to become environmentally friendly by being carbon neutral. And I don't believe in carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality is basically using dirty sources of power and then buying a certificate and offsetting your dirty source of power by buying this certificate. That to me is like taking a giant in the room and taking an air freshener and trying to hide the smell. So we don't do that. We use carbon-free sources of power. We use volcanic, we use hydro, which is plentiful in Canada and Iceland. We don't create the damage in the first place. So when we're mining Bitcoin, I could safely say that 93% of our entire fleet runs on clean sources of power when we're mining Bitcoin.
I love this. And by the way, I'm sure you know better than I do that when it comes to Bitcoin mining, energy is always on the table. And some people, they just want to, talk about it because I don't think they've been orange peeled yet because they don't understand the trust. I mean, the guy with the Satoshi hat, of course, gave it away, but I don't think they understand the exchange, right, of energy into money, because for me, Bitcoin is money. But I mean, how did you manage to get to 93% carbon free?
Well, whenever there's a partner that is pitching a business to us to help mine some of our Bitcoin, we have operating partners. If they're using fossil fuel, that's not something we really want to consider. So we are constantly scouting and looking for operators who are using clean sources of power where we could park our machines, our mining machines. And so it's really a choice. Do you want to do well and do good at the same time? That's what I would like to do. Do well means, financially well, but do good. Try to not create damage while you're doing well. So that's an important philosophy for Bit Digital. And frankly, it's also an existential issue because the regulators are going, and as they're already trying to clamp down on Bitcoin mining companies. And if you are using dirty sources of power, you're basically painting a target on your back with the regulators. So there is an existential issue here. We're trying to make sure that we're white knight actors in the ecosystem, in the sector. And I can safely also say that we're actually one of the first in the entire sector to put our fleet in a posture that's green, whereas the others in the sector, they've followed our trend, and now most of the sector in Bitcoin mining is using clean sources of power, which is great. But I could safely say that Bit Digital was one of the first to start that trend years ago.
That's incredible. And my brain is spinning so fast now, thinking all the use cases you could go and mine in places where there is a waste of natural resources, right? Maybe they have a lot of wind, a lot of volcano activities, and nobody's doing anything. So you're transforming those resources into money, which is pure magic. I love this. You mentioned AI before, how you leverage AI in the mining facilities.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple business. So some people have asked us, how did you get into AI? That Bitcoin mining is different. Well, the process of Bitcoin mining is as follows. You buy specialized machines that solve mathematical problems that capture Bitcoin. And we're specialists in finding these machines. We're also specialists in identifying data centers to park those machines. Those skills are very transferable for AI. So for AI, we find basically the machines. There's called high performance computing. They're called HPC. Instead of ASICs for Bitcoin mining, it's HPC for AI. So they're very specialized machines, far more sophisticated than Bitcoin mining machines, but still the same process of identifying the correct machines and identifying the correct data centers in order to park those machines. We were able to identify that data center again in Iceland. Great place to do business. And so we grabbed all those machines, thousands of them from California, imported that all the way to Iceland. And we have a client that's currently building a large language model, an LLM. And to build an LLM, you need very high computational power. So we rent that computational power to our clients who are building LLMs. Why are they joining us instead of like the hyperscalers, like the Magnificent Sevens? Well, the Magnificent Sevens, if you think about it, Meta and Amazon and the others, they're also building their own large language models. So not many people want to, our client, for example, do not necessarily want to be in bed with a hyperscaler that's also building an LLM. That's a conflict of that's basically a conflict of interest in many ways. We're not building an LLM. We're simply renting computational power. And so clients are comfortable that there's no conflict of interest. And so we're able to rent that computational power and they could build their LLMs in peace.
I mean, I'm sure you're well aware about halving, right? Which just happened not long ago. How do you manage to survive with this 50% reduction?
Yeah, look, we've built a well-rounded business with multiple revenue streams in Bitcoin mining, AI infrastructure services, and ETH staking. So, we're actively expanding our Bitcoin mining fleet, but we have Bit Digital AI. There's no halving event in AI, and it's an uncorrelated revenue stream that's already producing more than about $50 million in annualized revenue with very substantial margins. And also, we've been able to maintain a strong and flexible balance sheet. We have absolutely zero debt. We have about 150 million on the balance sheet, and we've increased our treasury holdings and all our digital assets, including staked ETH. Staked ETH spits out a yield, which is great, and that's in the retains earnings section. So, into the halving, there are many Bitcoin mining companies that basically hope that Bitcoin will go up in order to make up for the halving. That is not a good strategy. Running a business on hope that Bitcoin goes up, is not a good idea. I want to run a responsible company. So what we've done is we have our Bitcoin mining fleet. We run that efficiently, but we have other revenue streams that are uncorrelated to Bitcoin or the price of Bitcoin. So we're able to rely on those revenues to help our Bitcoin mining fleet grow without depending on Bitcoin going up.
Yeah, that's really smart. Diversification, right, into different things. Otherwise, like you said, you don't want to be found in a place where you don't have any more income, right? So that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about, you mentioned Ethereum and Bitcoin. Those two are very different in many different categories, like proof of work versus proof of stake. I mean, what's your view in both of them? Do you like both? Do you like one better than the other?
Well, we've done something that no one else has ever done. We've actually put 1 + 1 = 3 with respect to putting Ethereum and Bitcoin together. And this is what Bit Digital has done. No one else has done this. It's called the Bit Digital flywheel. And what we've done is we've capitalized on the synergy that we've created between Bitcoin mining and ETH staking. So what we do is we earn rewards by substantially and sustainably mining Bitcoin. And we exchange a percentage of the Bitcoin mining rewards for Ethereum. Then we stake that Ethereum and earn the yield and accumulate the rewards. And then we take those rewards and we pour that back into Bitcoin miners. And we repeat that. And it creates this perpetual flywheel of generating revenue. Bitcoin mining rewards, put that into Ethereum, stake the Ethereum, earn the yield, take the yield, pour that back into Bitcoin miners. No one's done that. And that is a flywheel that we've created that is a beautiful marriage between the two. It's been able to work out for us very well.
Yeah, I love this. I don't know if you would agree with me, but sometimes when I go into the space, into the crypto space, there's a lot of compartmentalization. Like you have the Ethereum guys, the maxi Bitcoiner, and I'm like, guys, there is space for everybody. Like I don't think Bitcoin and Ethereum are competing to each other. That's my view. They offer two very separate things.
I have no time for crypto tribalism. I think I think right now what we have to think about is uniting with each other. Bitcoin is a store of value. Ethereum has smart contracts. It has different functionality, but like you said, it has the ability. Like there's plenty of space. Bitcoin's main competition is gold. Gold is a 12 or 15 trillion dollar market cap. Bitcoin is a fraction of that. Bitcoin has a way to go to eat the gold market. That's the right so-called enemy. Ethereum has the ability to rewrite the entire financial system because it has smart contracts and atomic swaps. There's a technical functionality that Bitcoin does not have. These are two very different things. The whole point of crypto is to kind of get rid of traditional finance. Traditional finance has not served people well. It's rigged for the rich. Crypto has the ability to level the playing field with radical transparency and without creating any friction when money is moved from A to B. When money is moved between A to B in traditional finance, there are a lot of middlemen that feed into that dynamic, and it's not in a value add way. Crypto has an opportunity to disintermediate the middleman, to take out the middleman, and that's why the traditional financial markets are very threatened by crypto in general, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum. They just don't like it because they realize that it has a very powerful underlying technology that could disintermediate the entire financial system, including the gold markets.
I completely agree. So 100% well said. And by the way, I think there is space for gold and Bitcoin. I like to think they are fighting fiat.
But gold is heavy.
Yeah,
Try to hold that what $1 million of gold and go somewhere. Bitcoin is going to be much lighter.
100% with you. Like, by the way, for disclosure, I have zero gold in my portfolio. I am all in Bitcoin, so there is no comparison, right? But I do see the point in having gold maybe in our society, whether, like you said, they are kind of competing for the same spot, which is who's the best store of value. And of course, since 2009, Bitcoin has been destroying gold in any measurement.
There's no doubt that Bitcoin is a much better store of value than gold. And it's very easy. Well, first of all, nobody really knows how much gold there is out there. Everybody knows how much of the supply of Bitcoin is. Secondly, you can't really hold gold in your pockets. It doesn't make sense. You try to put $1 million of gold in your pockets, it's not going to work. In today's day and age, with a mobile society that people travel and take airplanes and so on, you can't actually hold gold. That doesn't make sense. And third, your Bitcoin can be self-custodied. You can't really self-custody gold unless you put it in your pockets, which doesn't really work for the reasons I just mentioned. So I believe, in the past, institutional investors were buying gold as an inflation hedge. That was a traditional way to hedge inflation to fight fiat. But in 10, 15 years from now, you will see the new generation of people who have normalized Bitcoin. They're going to replace the boomers. Those boomers currently are the ones who are doing portfolio construction for family offices and institutional investors. They're buying gold to hedge inflation. But when the new generation takes over from the boomers, the newer generation, they're going to be, I'm talking about a little bit Gen X, millennials, certainly Gen Z. They're going to be not buying gold. They're going to be buying Bitcoin instead of gold in order to hedge inflation. And that's going to create a huge, huge uprise, like an upswing in the Bitcoin price, because people will start buying, Bitcoin instead of gold to hedge inflation for portfolio constructions in an institutional framework. That's going to happen generationally. Yes, there are going to be cyclical gyrations in Bitcoin in terms of the price, but structurally, it's going to go up. Why? Fixed supply, and a generation normalization of Bitcoin investment.
I completely agree on everything you said. Plus, I mean, for me, the main trigger was I actually started my journey into exploring gold because I didn't want my money to evaporate into nothing. So when I was in London, I started purchasing gold, right? And the first problem was, well, I don't own the gold. The Cavo owns the gold. They actually owe me a receipt, which is worthless because they will pay me
Right.
eventually in fiat. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, and
Yeah.
how do I know that the gold that I purchase is real gold? It could be fake gold. I don't know. So
Right.
how do I solve all these problems? And
Bitcoin solves all that. Bitcoin solves all that.
exactly, Bitcoin fixes this, right? As we say in our universe. And then you come to the conclusion and you're like, wait a second, I can it's super portable. I can break it down in satoshis, which is amazing. I can't buy a fake one. Nobody controls it. It's open source. Satoshi, we don't know who she, he, or they are, which is phenomenal because it's unstoppable. So then it's no match with gold. We are moving into a society which is pure digital. So do you see yourself going to a store to buy bread with a piece of gold? And what do? You just break it into pieces to buy milk? I mean, it's not going to work. So
Having said that, I do sympathize with the criticism that Bitcoin can't be a currency. I think Bitcoin's more gold than currency. It's hard to buy bread and milk with Bitcoin. I know they're trying to do that in El Salvador. It's a little bit difficult because the technology is a little bit too slow for processing payments. So I'm skeptical for it to be used as an everyday form of currency, monetary currency. But I'm very bullish that it is the perfect commodity. Currency and commodity are very different things. Currency is money, commodity is things like gold. That is different. And so Bitcoin, number one commodity on ever invented by mankind. In terms of currency, I still see the challenges there in buying a pack of gum using Bitcoin. It's going to be difficult because of the processing power. It's like every 15 minutes, you got to validate a block. You're not going to wait at the convenience store for 15 minutes to make a transaction. So
I agree. I feel like we are into a electricity moment where if you rewind the
yeah,
clock when they invented electricity in the beginning, they couldn't imagine we built Wi-Fi on top of it, right? So they could only see a channel going through, say, okay, we're going to provide a service which is called electricity, and then people are going to build stuff on top of it, right? So I see, but I agree with you, by the way. I don't think Bitcoin is currency. Bitcoin is a store of value.
yeah,
I agree. But
yeah,
who
I
knows,
agree.
maybe in 10 years, we'll build other channels. Hence why I think there is space for Ethereum, there is space for other cryptos doing other stuff, serving other purposes. I have everything I own is in Bitcoin. Like, then I have a portion of my portfolio which I speculate with. It's like going to the casino and gamble on, I don't know, Chainlink
Right.
or Cardano or some coins that I sympathize for, but
Yeah,
it's a
I have a position in one of those coins.
and I wanted to ask you because, and by the way, my point of view, the reason why I want to speculate on those is because I want to buy more Bitcoin. So if I buy a altcoin and the altcoin doubles, amazing. I sell it and buy more Bitcoin. So
Yeah,
that's the mechanism,
I,
right?
that's my philosophy as well. And there's one altcoin I really like called HBAR. I'm not promoting. I have no an investment. I have an investment in HBAR. Don't get me wrong. I am invested in HBAR, but I don't have a a stake in the equity of whomever. But that is one altcoin that I've been bullish on over the past couple of years, and it's been doing well.
There are some beautiful projects out there, like same as you. I have a few, maybe 4 or 5, not many, because I don't want to, I'm a simple guy. I like simple things. Bitcoin is my store of value, and I have a percentage where, where I play with. I don't have any meme coins and none of that stuff, even though you can make money with it, but it's not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea.
No. You know what's interesting about meme coins? I've thought about it, and I thought, is this harmful or helpful? And I think it's helpful because what it does is it adds humor to the whole process, and it brings people into the ecosystem in a humorous sort of way. And they toy around with the meme coins, but then they realize the power of this technology, and then it gets serious. So it becomes like a mousetrap. Yeah, play with meme coins, but then the people start getting serious after they play with the meme coins and have a laugh, and they understand. So I think meme coins have a positive role, net positive role in the system.
I agree. It's the best onboarding platform we have in crypto, right? And I believe, I don't know if you would agree with me, but I believe if you have done at least a couple of cycles in crypto, you have to be, I mean, I don't want to say maxi because I hate when people say maxi, but I think you will become, you will be aware that Bitcoin is king and everything else is temporary, or maybe is going to go to nothing. I don't know, but it could be replaced. Whether Bitcoin is unreplaceable because of all the reasons we said, and there is no CEO, there is no head off. You can't turn it off.
There's no back. They can't change the code. None of that stuff.
Exactly.
Isn't that amazing? We're the first generation to live in a time where there's been this revolution in finance. It's so people don't understand how amazing this is. Like for thousands of years, there was just like one way of doing things, and it was always like corrupted, and it was just debased, and governments were messing around with it, and so were humans. This is the first time in thousands of years there's been this accounting revolution by this guy called Satoshi or woman, whatever. And I just find it, I think people don't understand that we are witnessing we have a first row seat to this incredible technology, and it's turning finance upside down. It's turning thousands of years of how to do finance upside down, and it's fantastic. I think it's great.
I completely agree, and it's so early. Like when I speak to people like you and me, which we are plugged in, if you speak with the average Joe, they don't even know what Bitcoin is. They, oh yeah, I've seen on the radio it's gone up 10%. Yeah, whatever. So early, right? And like you said, we have this beautiful sunset which is coming up, and I'm like mesmerized by all those beautiful moments it's going to give us. But I believe in 10, 15 years is going to provide a platform for so many companies to build so many products. I often give the example when internet kind of started up, booted up, and everything was really different. We had Netscape moments. I'm sure you rely with that, right? We didn't have so many things we have now. There was no iPhone. iPhone came out in 2007. And when 2007, the Apple created the iPhone, I don't know if you remember, but the Apple Store had nothing but one app called Beer Glass, and there was no utility. You literally tilted the phone and was pretending to simulate a beer glass.
I don't remember that, but that's hilarious.
And it costed $9.99. And I remember going around to all my friends, guys, the Apple Store, the beer glass, you don't understand. And they're like, dude, this is not, there's no utility. What are you talking about? This is garbage. The Apple Store is going, I don't know, but you don't understand. It's a platform. Developers can build apps, and people thought I was crazy, right? I feel the same excitement times 1,000 with the Bitcoin ecosystem, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But unless you spend time into it, unless you read a bunch of books, Bitcoin Standard, one of my favorite, it's hard for people to understand. What do you mean the bank has not my money? What do you mean? What do you mean I don't have my money? What? What's wrong with you? I look at my phone. I have my money in the bank. It's like, guys, the bank does not have your money. It's a journey, right?
Scary. I think it was Henry Ford that said that if the masses knew how banking worked, there would be a revolution tomorrow.
Sometimes I get a message from a friend, oh, finally, I made my investment, I bought my property, where I live into it. It's like, guys, that's a liability, it's not an asset. If you buy a property, which you don't own, by the way, the government does, or the bank, until you pay the mortgage, and then it doesn't create cash flow, it's a liability. So again, those things, and they look at you like you are crazy. Like, what do you mean I don't own my house? I own my house. Like, no, true ownership is Bitcoin, right?
That's the thing about Bitcoin. Nobody, you could, if you self custody it, nobody could take it away from you. Whereas property, the government can still take it away from you.
Yeah.
The bank can take it away from you. Even if you pay off the bank, let's say you get involved in a lawsuit, liens can be put on the property. Like, so the house is actually never really yours, let alone the taxes you have to pay on the properties every year, let alone the taxes you have to pay on that property when you pass it on to your children. It's interesting.
It's a well-built system to slave people in a modern society, right? That's what I like to say, because you are grounded to, for example, I traveled extensively, right? So I have mixed bag of documents. My driving license is now Emirati. My thingy is British. I'm all over the place. And they hate it because I don't belong anywhere. And when they have to put me into a box, I'm like, well, screw you guys, I have Bitcoin. I put my treasure in my pocket and good luck. I can decide not to tell you my sea phrase and I can die with it. There is no other asset
Right.
who's giving you this power.
Right.
Because like you said, everything else is takeable. Like if you have a house, if you own a house, you take a ticket because you are speeding, try not to pay the ticket and see how long you have your house for. They'll take it away because you need to cover the ticket, right? So it's not really yours. They allow you to own it until it's convenient, but at some point they can pull the plug. Whether with Bitcoin, as long as you self-custody and you know the seed phrase, that's it. You can take it even to the grave,
You don't have it. You don't know what you're talking about.
I lost it in a boat accident.
Yeah.
So,
In World War II, a lot of like if this technology existed in World War II, property confiscation, it would have not been a thing. If everybody had a cold wallet, even if you lose your cold wallet, you could replace the ledger, right? So you just have to have the seed phrase in your brain. It would have been a very different outcome. Confiscation would not be a thing.
exactly. And it was illegal for people to own gold, right, in certain times. And they confiscated everything. And they gave them fiat. Perfect. We're going to give you the rubbish. We take the good stuff. So
there are rumors. Yeah, exactly. There are rumors where governments might make it illegal to own Bitcoin, just as they made it illegal to own gold. But I really don't know how they can enforce that.
yeah, and you know what's the beautiful part about this? There's going to be always a place where they will welcome Bitcoin holders, because I like to think there is always a way out, right? You might have to pack your bag and go somewhere else. But if some countries decide to close the door, well, guess other countries are going to open the door. So
right.
I don't mind. I'll pack my bags. And, I think you owe to yourself to live into a place that treats you the best. So you can move. You're not a tree, right? So I was in the UK for quite a bit. And I didn't like them anymore. So I said, you know what, guys, I'm taking my cats, my wife, and I'm going to Dubai. Is Dubai the answer? I don't know for now. But if they do something I don't like, I'll pack, take the wife, take the cats, and go somewhere else. There's going to be always an option, I like to think.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about Dubai myself, and I went a month ago, but then there was this crazy flood that happened, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. So I need to go back and check it out.
Yeah, and let me know if you come, because honestly, to be honest, it was one-off. I've never seen in 4 years anything like this. Sometimes they make it rain, as they say, but the city is not equipped for heavy rain. But they're now building infrastructures, they're building draining systems. So, but I've never seen anything like it. It was really bad, but they fixed it in honestly no time. So I think besides that, it's a beautiful place, super crypto friendly, and there's no tax. So check.
Yeah.
But Samir, you have been an absolute legend. I enjoyed talking to you so much. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Maurizio.
Bye.